I remember when I was on vacation from 4th grade going to 5th grade. I was a normal person with an average weight. However, this vacation changed me. Since I ate a lot of carbohydrates, sugars, lipids, and I did not do any sports for myself. For these reasons, I gained 10 kilos. I didn't like the way I saw myself in the mirror, and I saw that I was less physically fit in sports. So I decided to change. I went on a diet, and I lost that kilos that I won in 2 months. Nothing is impossible if you propose it. In this exhibition, I will explain the negative consequences of a bad diet and the positive consequences of a good one. The first example lies in our region. It is known that the pregnant mothers should not eat junk food and should eat nutrient-dense foods in order for the baby brain to develop better. And a study done in Australia evaluated 23,000 mothers and determined that those who had eaten badly during their pregnancy had children with anxiety and problems of depression. However, the mothers that eat good have children that have a more happy life. Lipids are composed of glycerol and fatty acids. Omega-3 is a very important fatty acid for our brain, and we must consume foods such as avocado, fish, fruits, since our body cannot develop it on its own. So, consider adding fish to your diet so your brain can function and develop better. In another hand, fat is good, but in control, because 90% of the gray matter in our brain is fat. There are 20 different types of amino acids to make up proteins in our body. However, our body can only create 12 by itself. The others are acquired by food. For these reasons, we should eat that food that we know that will give us 8 types of amino acids that we lack in our body. In the United States, an experiment was done where a boy was given a carbohydrate-based breakfast and made a hasty and stupid decision. But when the same boy was given a protein-based breakfast, he was more sensible and fruitful. This because food also influences in our thoughts. People on a protein diet are more tolerant than those that only eat carbohydrates, lipids, and sugar. This is because tyrosine, that is amino acids, help our brain chemistry by stimulating the speed of neurons. A study made by the Italian Javier Fomenti tells us that the carbohydrates can alter our brain, specifically glucose, since it alters the frequency of nerve impulses. The hypothalamus controls the satisfaction on our body through hormones. However, sugar can affect it, since excessive consumption of it can cause us to get used to this place and need more sugar. In this way, we become addicted to sugar. And a study affirms this fact. A person who normally ate ice cream was frequently given ice cream, and the scientists revealed that the brain impulses were not many and it not feel much satisfaction made by the hypothalamus. However, the same study was made to a person that did not eat a lot of ice cream, and his reactions of the hypothalamus were better because he feel more pleasure. For this reason, the phrase of good little, you have to know how to do the good. Our body is communicated by the signals that the system transmits to the brain. These signals are given by the sodium-potassium pump that is powered by ATP, and the pump moves sodium and potassium ions in opposite directions, each against its concentration gradient. These neurons have three important parts. First, the dendrites, then the axon, and finally the terminal axon. In the latter, a process occurs that can be affected by a poor diet. In this part, the terminal axon, there is a kind of transmission. In the terminal axon, there are a kind of saccades called synaptic vesicles that contains neurotransmitters. In the dendrites are the receptors in the other neuron. This helps us, our body, feel a certain type of pressure or satisfaction from time to time. For example, when we eat gum, the synaptic vesicles release dopamine and making the neurotransmitters, and the receptors receive them. Normally, the number of neurotransmitters equals the number of receptors. But the problem occurs when it changes, and the people start to eat a lot of products, and our synaptic vesicles release more neurotransmitters. So the receptors are not necessary to receive all of them. In this way, your body creates more receptors and your dendrite have more receptors for what you do, dependent on eating more and more of that product for pleasure. In conclusion, you may have always believed that eating bad has not a lot of bad consequences, but it is. And I could change, and you can change too. But remember that the life is not black and white. Life has nonsense. So it does not mean that you will never be able to eat junk food again. You will never be able to eat a pizza. What you need is to follow a regular diet.